Once upon a time, there was a girl. She loved Elvis Presley, but she went out with a Marilyn Monroe impersonator.
Do I look like her?
Hi, I'm Sophia Jessica, and this is Angel, and welcome to the fan carpet.
Good morning, Jethro. How are you doing?
Good. How are you, Marc?
Yeah, doing well, thank you. So I'll jump straight in. If we go back to the beginning, was there a defining moment for you to get into the industry?
Oh gosh, yes. I always sort of said when I was a kid that I wanted to do films. I used to do plasticine animations on sort of stop motion Super 8 things. I remember when I was 12, my birthday present, my mum got me into Aardman Studios, and Peter Lord showed me around, and they were making Wallace and Gromit. But the real moment when I said to myself I was going to make films was, I think I was about 15, and I watched. This is going to sound a bit pretentious, but I watched a film called Les Enfants du Paradis, um, Children of Paradise in English. It's a beautiful film about theatre on the Parisian boulevards, and there's a particular scene with the mime exposing the bad guy there, and I saw that scene and I said, "That's what I've got to do with my life. I want to make films." So that was seeing Les Enfants du Paradis when I was 15 years old was when I knew that was what I was going to do.
Awesome. The stop motion stuff. I've done it myself, and that is like just to get like 10 seconds of footage, you're there for like 3 hours.
Yeah.
So hats off to you for the sheer determination when you were a kid. Uh, that's awesome.
It's one of those things. It's a really, I mean, I think it's when you get into it, the time disappears. You just keep on going, and you can't wait to see that little plasticine figure go from point A to point B and see how it looks. Because
Yeah.
you have to wait for it to be developed in the day as well. I suppose these days you can do it on phones and things, but yeah, it was just like click, click.
Mm.
Yeah, great
Yeah,
fun.
no, I had great fun. It was I was on a multimedia course, and they had animation as part of it. And so like the whole like class was like 3 hours long, and it was just taken up by this animation. It was incredible. It was a
Yeah.
lot of fun. So what you can tell us about Paul and Paulette Take a Bath and what it was that made you want to tell this story?
Yeah, I was in actually I was looking on Facebook. I was writing something else at the time. I was away trying to write a script, and I was looking on Facebook, and a friend posted a photograph of himself in Winston Churchill's bathtub, and that reminded me of another very famous photograph of Lee Miller in Adolf Hitler's bathtub, an image that she took in his apartment in Munich on the day he committed suicide in Berlin, which a lot of people will know now because of Kate Winslet's film about Lee Miller. And there's a scene where you see her taking that photograph, and that photograph has stayed with me because it's a really disturbing image. The sort of intimacy of the space where Adolf Hitler would have taken his clothes off, looked at himself in the mirror, got in the bathtub, brushed his teeth. Oh, it's a really tough thing to square that sort of human being, that very human, intimate space with the person who was in the bathroom, who owned that bathroom, and and that got me thinking between my friend's photograph on Facebook and that image, what's the impulse that makes people want to not just see the space but get into the bathtub? And so I thought I'd write a story about two characters who would go to places where terrible things had happened, and not just satisfy themselves by visiting them, but want to get under the skin of the people involved, the criminals and the victims. And very soon I came up with the idea that they'd start with the execution of Marie Antoinette on Place la Concorde, the guillotine, and um, and have these two characters who would try and recreate the scenes of these crimes at the places where they happened. So that was the starting point for the film.
Awesome. Yeah, awesome. I wonder if those evil people know they were doing evil things. I mean,
Yeah,
it's an interesting idea, isn't it?
well,
To
that's it. I mean, there's a storyline in the film where I was really thinking about that. It's also, um, if you take a murderer, the outside world will define that person as a murderer
mm,
uh, for their whole life. Um, but that's an act that they committed on one day. And probably from the inside, they don't define themselves that they will see that as a mistake and be aware of the fact that other people see them as a murderer, but they have a life to live.
mm,
And um, it might be some murders or manslaughters that they might go to prison for 7 years, but then they get out and they live a day-to-day life. And so that's a storyline that I wanted to be in the film. And I think it's important to, es- especially with these sort of figures like Adolf Hitler. Um, Personally, I think it's important to remember that this was a human being who did this. Maybe not like us, but like us as well, in that we're all capable of doing bad things, and evil isn't something that is other. Uh, Evil something that we're capable of if we're not careful.
yeah,
Uh, and so to think of it's a really terrifying thing, I think, to face up to Adolf Hitler as somebody who brushed their teeth and worried about how his hair looked. But I think it's important because it reminds us that um, if we're not careful, we could, or if we're not watching out, we could do things that that would hurt other people. And
yeah,
often we're not aware that we're doing it. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. So what does it mean for you to be a storyteller and tell stories in this way?
I think it's a I mean, it's just the most lovely thing about being a human being, is, sharing stories, whether you're around at the pub with your mates or, in a cafe on a Paris terrace or, making films. I love the process of creating a sort of universe and bringing all these, different elements, locations, and actors, and, um I love filmmaking because I'm working. I've got no particular talent myself. Hopefully, I'm a decent storyteller, but I can't play a musical instrument. I'm not a good actor, and I love working with all these different people who have these talents and bringing them together. And storytelling is how we share things. It's one of the lovely things about this, and especially that I wanted to do with this film, is that I think everybody will react differently to it. I think my theory was at the start of the film, um, they'll be very far back in history and they'll come closer and closer today, and they will. I know by the end of the film they'll have crossed the line for the audience. Paul will have gone too far, um, but I think people's moment when they cross the line will be different for each person. I think it'll be different,
Mm,
and I love that. That's a what's the word? That you tell a story and then you don't own it anymore, and everybody else takes a different thing from it. And so it's sort of, yeah, it's to do with empathy, to do with sharing and community, but hopefully provoking discussions and having people go, well, I saw that. I thought Paulette was more, I thought Paulette was awful. I thought she was, I fell in love with her straight away. And I love that sort of, that it can provoke those kind of things.
mm, absolutely. So do you have any memories while filming that stand up to you, something you won't forget?
I think that yes, there's I mean, it's full of those. You walk on set for the first day, and you see everything coming together. But one of my favorite memories, and this is something I love about filmmaking, especially with an indie film like this, where you've got a small crew, is there's a moment when we were filming in an apartment, and we were filming through the back of a cupboard, and we realize I've given the instruction um, uh, to the deco person. We need to film through the back of the cupboard, so we need the back that we can take off. But of course, then we need to film the other angle, and she didn't have she hadn't brought the back in. and you realize you've got this problem because you can't film into a cupboard that has no back. It's just going to look ridiculous. And the whole crew came together coming up with ideas and solutions. It wasn't like somebody's made a mistake. It might have been my mistake, or it might have been, but it doesn't matter. Everybody comes together and comes up with ideas. And we're looking around this old empty apartment, and one person comes in. I think it was the production manager. He goes, "Oh, there's these old newspapers. Couldn't we put old newspapers at the back of the cupboard?" And so he found one sheet. You had the costume designer going, "Okay, great, I'll run out and buy some newspapers," and then you've got the deco persons there sticking them together, and then the newspaper, and then somebody else found more old newspapers with sort of yellowy kind of, that sort of, it's been there for 50 years. But one of them had the Eiffel Tower on it. So that fit with the theme of the power. We're bringing Paris into the apartment by putting a newspaper with an image of the Eiffel Tower. It's a detail that nobody sees, but it's really pleasing to me. And I just love these moments when there's a problem and the whole crew sort of mucks in, and it's not their job, but they don't care. We know we've got to get to the end of the day and we've got to solve it. And that was one of those moments where it really just sort of comes together and like, what can we do? How can we help? What ideas have we got? So those are the best moments on a film set, when everybody's being part of a team. And that's what filmmaking is, really, isn't it?
Absolutely. And what would your cast like to work with?
Oh, they were a joy. Jeremy Galliano plays Paul, and Marie Benatti plays Paulette. And I know that there are a lot of very talented actors around who just don't get the opportunity because they don't have a name, and it's very rare to be able to give. Making an independent film like this, I'm able to. I knew I had an opportunity to give the roles to people who weren't necessarily known, but really had the talent to carry a film. And Jeremy and Marie both come from theatre. I've seen them on stage, and they're both spectacular. I just had the luxury of casting two people who are just right for the part. Marie is nothing like her character. She's totally zen, relaxed, chilled, read a book in the corner type, quite shy. She's very lovely with everybody, but she's definitely like, what's the word? She's got shy bones in her, but she just loves performing. And there's not an ounce of wanting to be in the star, wanting to be in the limelight about her. Completely unself-conscious when she's becoming Paulette. And Jeremy is a very generous actor, because it's, when you see the film, Paulette's this sort of whirlwind and is drawing all the attention, and he's there happily directing our eyes towards her as the film begins. He has his moment when he comes into the light later in the film, but he's a very attentive, generous actor. And just all of them, how do I say it? When you're making an independent film, that you might not have much time at the end of the day, but every single take they were on, it felt real. They were the characters. So my work was very much just calibrating a little thing. But when you're running out of time and you can't do 6 different shots as you wanted to cover the scene, I could just put the camera on the two of them, and they would do the scene, and it would have the pace. Everything would be feel true, and so those days when we were running out of time, it was just such a luxury to have actors like them to work with.
Awesome. And just finally, where can we find you online and the film to keep up with everything you're doing?
I have a website, which is jethromassey.com. You can also follow me on Instagram, instagram.com, whatever, Jethro Massey. And the film is on Instagram, Paul and Paulette Take A Bath.
Awesome. Well, congratulations with the film, and I look forward to whatever you do next. Thank you very much.
Thanks for taking the time to talk.
Thank you. Take care. Cheers.
Bye.
Thank you for watching The Fan Carpet. Please follow us on Facebook, X, and Instagram for more content. Bye for now.
Don't put me on a pedestal, okay?
What the fuck am I supposed to say to that? Once there was a boy who was in love with a girl.
Oh, don't be shy, get in.
Show what you can do. I hear a siren. Maybe you were wrong about me. I'm dangerous and still be. Why don't you give me a sign like the sea? Everybody thinks that I'm okay. Sometimes I think I am too. I'm on the outside looking in. I'm waiting for the shockwaves to begin. Oh, won't you let me hold you for one time? Just a rainy day in a London cafe. A London cafe. So give me one last serenade. Say to me or swear at me till the night turns into day. And it was a shame when daylight faded, because we didn't notice at all.
Thank you for watching The Fan Carpet. If you like this video, be sure to click that thumbs up button at the bottom of your screen. And also be sure to subscribe to the Fan Carpet YouTube channels. They're absolutely free and so much fun too. Be sure to check out the official website, thefancarpet.com. Also, you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to stay up to date with reviews, competitions, the latest news, and so much more.